Welcome everyone to our weekly Forex market analysis call, and this is in preparation for the week of December 18th to 22nd, 2017. So before we get started here, just a quick disclaimer. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money, especially now that we are heading into holiday trading, our liquidity situation. So normally over the holidays, a lot of people will go away and they will be away from their trading desk. So this especially around Christmas time, as well as in summertime, the month of August especially. So both of these times, a lot of traders are away from their desks. They're away on vacation and stuff. And as a result of that, when the big players are away, a lot of liquidity dries up. So what that means is that even the small orders can push the market around a lot, which means we can see some exaggerated moves. So just keep that in mind. So some like little piece of data that normally would not move the news or move the price a lot can actually have a large impact on the market. So that's what we need to keep in mind as we are going through this season. So as usual, let's get started from the top with our calendar here. So let's take a look at this week. Okay, so coming up, so last week was a huge week in terms of the different central banks. So we had all the different central banks coming out. Fed raised rates, and they said they're going to do 3 more rate hikes in 2018. So that's what we're looking at right now. So going into this week, it's not as bad. We have on Monday, not a ton of red news. We have CPI numbers for Euro. So Australia here, we have monetary policy meeting minutes there. So it's anytime central bank is involved, that will be important. So, and then we have US building permits. Again, that will be important. We have Bank of England, Governor Carney speaking. So now we did have Bank of England last week as well. So the impact won't be as much this week because he's already said his bit last week, but regardless, anytime there is a central banker speaking, we have to be very careful with that. And then we have crude oil inventories and GDP for New Zealand. New Zealand and Australian dollar have done quite well over the last week or so. Or the last couple of weeks, I should say. So now we need to be careful with this. If the data starts to come out negative, that could have a negative impact on those crosses. So keep that in mind, and they have kind of gone quite a bit. So again, anytime when a pair has moved a lot, there's always that we're looking for potential reversals at that point, so keep that in mind. And then we have Bank of Japan, very important here. Their monetary policy, they always have a loose monetary policy. They're always wanting to pump money into the economy, so keep that in mind. If they keep the same stance, then it will be negative for Japanese yen. But if they change anything at all, even slight positiveness for where they're talking about even tightening or not going as loose, that would actually be strong for the yen because they're always on the loose side. Their Bank of Japan is the worst in terms of wanting to keep their monetary policy really, really loose. So if they talk about more stimulus, it will be very negative for the yen, which means other crosses can go up against it. So that's sort of what we need to watch out for there. And then we have CPI and core retail sales for Canadian dollar here. That will be important for Canada. Final GDP numbers for the US, again, a very important number there for the US. Employment numbers will be important as well. Okay, Friday here, we have current account, which is the trade balance, basically imports minus exports or exports minus imports. So this will be good. So if the number is less than what the previous was, that will be positive for British pound here. And then GDP numbers for Canada and core durable goods. So regular data for the most part, except for Bank of Japan here. And then we have Carney and monetary policy meeting minutes for Australian dollar. So other than that, it's just the regular data that we see on a normal basis. And then we are headed into our holiday, like full-on holiday season. Even this week, a lot of people will be going away. So especially like after the 20th, pretty much the market will be run by the juniors. So liquidity should be on the low side as we get into further into this week. All right, so let's start off with euro here. Sorry. Okay, so euro, we are looking at the central bank wasn't that bullish. The market didn't take it as very bullish. So as a result, now in terms of our weekly basis, we are into this support here. The weekly candle close is bearish here. It's pretty much a pin bar here with the little one in the little pin in the bottom, but the big wick on the upside here. So this is bearish. But do keep in mind we are into this support. So this is the third time we have come into this support. Previous couple of times price has not been able to break it. So 1.1720 level will be very, very important for the euro. So in this case, my bias is to the downside. So if the price, but the big thing will be this 1.1720 level. If the price is not able to break it, then we could see it go back into this range. So over the last 4 weeks, price has just stayed in this range, and it can go back into this range. But it does look bearish. So the scenario that I'm looking for would be a break of 1720 level and then a move to the downside. So this is the move that I'm looking for. The target here would be 1.1550 level, which is the base of this pin here. So this is the type of move I'm looking for euro. So my bias is to the downside. But again, very important to see a break of 1720 level so we can see a further move to the downside. All right, so now let's take a look at our pound here. Pound is looking bearish as well. We are at 13300 level. We have a pin bar here. It's small, but regardless, it's a pin bar. So we're looking for a further move to the downside. I'm looking for price to move lower into 1.3050 level into the base here. So looking for a further move to the downside. Bias is bearish now, and target is a 130.50 level back into the bottom here. Aussie has been bullish, so we have had a big bullish engulfing candle close here. So in this case, the bias is to the upside, so it's fully engulfed here. So now I'm looking for price to move up higher into this previous these levels here. So 77.60-ish level or 77.80 will be the target to the upside, and if it continues on, it could go even higher into this 0.7900. But we do have the monetary policy meeting minutes, and last time Reserve Bank of Australia wasn't that bullish on the economy. They were actually they were a little bit concerned about the economy, and if that shows again in the meeting minutes, we could see this drop actually. So bear that in mind. Anytime we have central banks coming up, they could change things. So my first target for Australian dollar here is 77.60-ish level, and if let's say the monetary policy meeting minutes were very bullish, or the commodities are doing really well, then it could go into 7,900 as well. So I will mark those as the targets to the upside, but bias is bullish at the moment. So this one here, we have gone past the range that this was trading in. So we are finally on the other side here. So New Zealand US dollar is looking bullish as well. And the next target is 70.80 level, which is back into the support and resistance level. So this is bullish as well. Dollar CAD. Dollar CAD is range bound, or it has been range bound for a while now, but now we are pushing back into our resistance level here. So the bias is upwards. Okay, so the bias is to the upside, but we'll have to make sure it passes the 129.20 level. So this one at the top, because still considered a range bound move because we haven't actually broken out of the range yet. So but from a weekly perspective, we have a bullish pin bar, which suggests that the price is likely to move higher. So in this case, if the price breaks up higher, we could see one of these moves and looking for price to go higher into 1.3200. That would be the scenario. However, because we are at the top of the range, and range bound generally means we will see this type of move. So the base case scenario here would be that price goes back into the range because it is a range bound move at the top, and we are at the top. So when price is at the top, it usually reverts back in towards the mean, which will be the middle of the range here. So the excuse me, so that would be the base case scenario. But I would be open to a breakout because price is pushing higher. So if price breaks out of this range and gets past 129.20, then I'm looking for that type of move to the upside. So the weekly close is bullish, and we could see a further move to the upside. Okay, Euro Swiss franc. This one has been range bound for quite some time, as we can see for multiple weeks here. So if we take a look at our candles here from the daily, it's still in that range. So if we were to take this away, as we can see, for the last multiple weeks here, price has been in the range. So let's go from the daily perspective here because it's easier to see. We have two bearish pin bars, so which means price is likely to move lower. So in this case, my target is 1.1538 level to the downside here, so bottom of the range. So I'm just looking for price to go back towards the bottom of the range. So bias is bearish or on Euro Swiss franc. So we have a bearish candle close, price failed to break the high. So looking for price to move lower towards 1.1540 level. So that is bearish. Pound yen here. Pound yen looks a little bearish here as well. We have seen the rejection. So let's get rid of some of these. Okay. So far we have seen the rejection. We have pinned here, and then price has moved lower. So it's not a very hugely convincing candle, but the bias is still to the downside because we do see a bearish close. So I'm looking for price to come back lower towards the bottom of this range here into 1.30 level, 1.300. So the bias for pound Swiss franc will be bearish as well, looking for price to move lower. Dollar Swiss franc. This one here, okay, so this is kind of where we are. So not a very solid candle close here. So this candle close, and not my favorite. We do see bearishness in here, but then we have a pin in the bottom, which means there's rejection of that. So not very convincing. As a result, probably not my favorite pair to trade this week. So in terms of perspective, where we could see it go, I think this makes it a bit of a neutral candle for me because we have bearishness and we have rejection, which suggests bullishness. So a neutral candle close. So at this point, because we do see a rejection from here, we could get pushed higher. So prices could get pushed higher into 1.0042 level here, which will be the top. So I'm going to put that as a target. But if the bears still sort of hold on here, we could get pushed back into this 97, 91 level. So I'm just going to leave it at that. We're kind of in the middle of this range. So I'm going to be very neutral on this, and I'll be open to this. I'll probably, if I'm going to look at it, I'll probably look at it from a daily perspective and see how it lines up next for a further move. But the weekly close is very neutral. So we have to be open to trading this either way. All right, so pound yen, a bearish candle close, so looking for further move to the downside here. So this is where we are. This is again a range. We have traded in this range for quite some time. So now we have a bearish candle close looking for price to move lower into 14700 level, which is the bottom of this pin. So bias is to the downside for pound yen. Euro yen here, we have sort of a neutral candle close. Price opened and closed pretty much at the same place for the weekly candle here, but overall bias is still to the downside. So my bias will be to the downside, looking for price to move lower into 131.40 level here. So as we can see, this one is a big range as well. Sorry, that's a daily candle close. My apologies. Yeah, weekly candle close. So regardless, we're still in a range that we have stayed in for quite some time. So weekly candle close is actually quite bearish. So I'm looking for price to come back towards 131.40. So this one, my bias is still range bound on this, what that means is that I'm looking for price to come into the bottom, which is our support here, and potentially bounce off of that level, because that's a strong support level. As you can see, for multiple weeks, price tried this level, tested this support level, and wasn't able to break. So that's what we're looking at. So I'm looking for price to move lower into support at 131.42 level, and then bounce back towards the middle of the range. So this is a range bound move as well. Aussie yen here. Aussie yen, we are into resistance. The bias is still pushing upwards here. So bias is still to the upside with the bullish candle close here. This is kind of what we're looking at. We have this ascending triangle right now. So the next move I am looking for would be to the upside. Now with this one, we do have monetary policy meeting minutes coming up, which could change everything. And we are into this resistance. So those are the two things I would bear in mind. But the bias is to the upside, and the target would be 88.00. But first thing would be to see if we can break this 86.50 level. If the price moves through this 86.50 level, I'm looking for it to go higher into 88.0 level. So bias is bullish there. Dollar yen. Dollar yen is not a very strong, just like dollar Swiss franc, this is not very strong close here. It is bearish for the week, so I'm looking for price to move lower into 110.80 level. So looking for a drop there back towards the bottom of this candle. So bias will be to the downside for dollar yen as well. CAD yen here. CAD yen is looking bearish, so looking for price to drop. The first target still is 86.80 level, and then second target would be 85.50 level to the downside. So the candle closes nicely to the downside though, so bearish on CAD yen as well. All right, anything else that you want to look at? We can look at New Zealand yen. Do I have? Yes, I have New Zealand yen here. Okay. New Zealand yen is looking bullish. So next target is at 80.00, which is our next, this level right here. So bias is to the upside and looking for a further move up into this 79.99, so 80 level, 80.00 level. So bullish. And then we have, I think, let's do gold. Gold is looking bullish. We have a bullish candle close here, and next target will be 1264.28, which now we are running into resistance. So it could go higher into 1277.20 level, but we are starting to we'll feel the resistance right into this 1265 level. So the bias is to the upside, but I would be very cautious of this 1265 level. And then somebody had asked me last time about oil. So let's take a look at oil. Oil is looking bearish, or it's just, well, it's not doing a whole lot, just going sideways over the last 3 weeks. It's in the range. As we can see, this is our range. Hasn't really done much. So the daily close was bullish, so I expect it to stay range bound at this point. So it could go back into the top of the range here at 58.95, but very, very small close here. So this looks like it kind of rejected the bottom of the range here, wants to go towards the top of the range. So from a weekly perspective, this is a very neutral close for the week. There's really nothing price opened and closed at the same point. So that would be neutral. Okay, anything else to cover? Oh, and there was a question in terms of the small account that I had talked about in one of the videos. I will be doing sort of a wrap on that, and in January I'll be officially starting a little challenge around that just for fun. So I will provide more details on that. I'm a little behind schedule on that just because I've been a little sick and stuff, but I will be doing a little wrap up on that just for the year, sort of show where the account is and some of the learnings from that, things that I want to implement going forward, and I'll talk about the challenge as well. So I just need to get my thoughts together around that. So I'll be posting a video on that shortly. And also, just to let you guys know, right now I am offering 20% off on all my courses. If you go to tradingwithvenus.com and /courses here. So all my courses are at the moment 20% off, and they're only the offer is only valid till the end of this month. So whether you want to buy the Learn to Trade Forex course, which is the video course that I do, and I take a look at all the different technical aspects, the price action trading, I take a look at different strategies, I look at different trade setups that I look at. So that's 20% off, as well as the fundamentals course. This one, I think we don't, as retail traders, don't talk as much about, but it is very important to understand the impact the fundamentals have on the market, how the price moves as a result of different news and different things that we need to focus on. And then for the trade rooms, yes, Eric, the trade signals, you will, if you join the trade room, you get trade signals. But trade room is not 20% off because it's only, it's a $97 a month. And that one, I put a lot of effort into that. So I usually don't discount that because I think the price is sort of fair at this point. So with the trade room, you do get trade signals. So with the trade room, what you get is I do a market analysis every night. So we do this type of a call every night, looking at where the different crosses will go and what the projections are for that day. And then I've started doing the London session now. So I trade in the London session. And then when I enter the trades, I put that in the Skype room and also on Twitter. I say this is where I'm entering the trade, and this is where my profit target and my stop loss are. So you actually get the whole signal in terms of where I'm entering and exiting, and if I exit the trade before, so right away I actually will put in that I'm exiting the trade at this point, that type of stuff. So I manage the trade as well. So all of that is part of Trade Room. So Trade Room is not discounted, but these other two courses are 20% off just for the month of December. So we have a couple more weeks left, and then they'll go back to the regular price. So regular price of this the video course is at $497 and the fundamentals course is at $397. So both are discounted at the moment. So good time to purchase them if you are interested. So that's all for now. Any other questions before we call it a wrap? Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for all the good wishes. So you guys have a wonderful trading week. So this will be our last, I think, weekly session till January. So I will be back first week of January. I think we are looking at, I'm going to take some time off, and I will be back on January the 7th with the new weekly analysis, because after that, those 2 weeks in the middle are really just holidays. So I'll be back on January 6th with the next one, or 7th, I should say, with the next weekly analysis. So you guys have a wonderful holiday season, and best wishes for whichever holiday you celebrate. Merry Christmas, or whatever holiday you celebrate, New Year. So you guys have a wonderful holiday season, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.